to another one of the Carb Hall of Fame inductees for 2019, and we have got Larry McCown here. And Larry, let me say congratulations on the McCown family being inducted into the Carb Hall of Fame. I'm sure your family is very proud of all of the members, from Chick and Wally as well as your brother Merlin. What an honor to have bestowed upon your family.
It sure is. We had a lot of our family there at the banquet, and I think there was 20-some family members plus another 15 or 20 friends that came up, and so we had a good turnout. For it. Yeah, it was a great honor. It really was.
What got these two brothers, Chick and Wally, started down this road to all the accomplishments that they've achieved in the racing world? How did that start?
Well, they just kind of fell in love with the fairgrounds, Missouri State Fairgrounds. They helped with the racing programs. They furnished trucks, wreckers from the late 50s on up through many years, up until the 90s. So, yeah. And the last brother passed away in the 90s, Wally. So there was actually 6 brothers that started it back in 1948, I think. And they're all gone now. So, But yeah, that was kind of the start of it. And we all just grew up around the Missouri State Fairgrounds and Marshall, Missouri's racetracks, Horseman Speedway. And just kind of grew from there. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know about you, but I could hear them running at Riverside, and when them motors start cranking, and you start hearing that noise, it just builds an excitement, and you just want to be involved.
Exactly, and boy, through the years, we ran Riverside a lot, Lakeside. I went to Olympic 3 or 4 times with Ken Taylor. He ran up there on nights that Marshall wasn't running, because they ran on Sunday night also. But it was quite a racetrack. Wow. You can learn how to drive there. Small
and tight.
Yes, you betcha.
Absolutely. Proving ground for many races in and around Kansas City.
Yeah.
I presume with Chick owning the McCown Brothers junkyard there in Sedalia, that it was like a direct hotline, so to speak, what term we use nowadays, to the racers and their needs. Kind of like what Bobby Lane says even today about racing is, back then the equipment came from junkyards.
They did.
So that gave them a direct hotline.
We probably had our name on more cars than we knew because we gave so many parts to the racers. I mean, guys raced then and they didn't have any money, Times were tough, and guys that go racing didn't have enough money to go probably. And Dad and Uncle Wally both, and my brother, would give these guys motors, parts, anything they needed. They just said, son, just go ahead and take that and go race.
Well, and Sedalia was kind of, this might be stretching it a little, but a mid-Missouri town that again was the hotbed of, like you say, racers from Marshall, Sedalia, and any of those other smaller tracks that are right around there.
Exactly. And the fair race was always in August at the Missouri State Fair. And I can remember when we had 5 days of racing during the 11 days of the Missouri State Fair.
Yeah.
And racing was a big part of the fair.
Absolutely.
And it just has kind of slipped over the years and lost its luster.
Well, that's pretty much same throughout racing is the fair dates were kind of the end of the season sort of, especially with Sedalia in August, end of the season kind of where everybody came in, and the competition was really tough at those two.
It was. I mean, you mingled the Kansas City and Kansas drivers with the Missouri drivers, and Roy Hibbard, Bill Lutz, Russell Hibbard, Jim Jenkins. These guys were all good drivers. Ken Taylor, all those guys grew up racing against each other. And you mix in that hotbed from Kansas City and Kansas, my goodness, you had some competition.
You sure did. In 1965 and 66, the two brothers, they hook up with Larry Sullivan and Ken Taylor, and some big things start to happen.
Yes, they did.
66 wins out of 72 races that they entered.
Right.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
It was almost like you were dreaming this. I mean, we've raced a lot of years since then, and before then, but that it was almost like everything went right. You have to have a lot of luck to win a feature, and to win that many in a 2.5 year span is just ridiculous.
Was Sullivan kind of the chassis guy and Taylor the driver, or
no.
what was the relationship?
Sullins was the motor guy.
Oh, okay.
He was. We ran those 2.5 years with virtually no motor problems. There's many nights we didn't take the hood off the car. I mean, it was just unbelievable. Everything seemed to go right.
Mm-hmm. Was there one track in particular where most of these 66 wins came from?
They were kind of mixed up. Jefferson City, Thunderbolt Speedway in Sedalia, Sportsman Speedway in Marshall, of course the State Fair. We went to Amarillo, Texas. He won a feature down there in '65. We were going back there in '66 when he was fatally killed.
Right. Yeah. 400 feature wins. Now this was from '65 to 1990. I mean, let's face it. There would probably be a lot of people with just those 66 wins were happy, but 400 from '65 to '90.
Well, they were actually started in about 1959.
Okay.
We started in the B class at Marshall, and my brother's team won a lot of races. Then they moved onto the. We were getting ready to build a car in 1965, and we found out that Ken Taylor had asked my dad, "Could you put me a car together?" And so we took that car that we were working on, which was going to be actually a B modified, and we made it into an A modified, and that's kind of how it got going.
Now, when you say we built, you mean personally your brothers built, or
no,
father and uncle?
My brother and my dad. My Uncle Wally was more the dollar guy,
Yeah.
He wasn't so much a hands-on guy, but he was very much involved in it. My Uncle Bud and the rest of the brothers were too. But my dad and Merlin were more on the hands-on.
Hands-on.
Yeah. And me too. I was the kind of the gopher guy, and I did the body work and the painting and stuff like that.
Not to labor these wins too much, but just a couple here. Missouri State Fair champs in '65, '66.
Right.
And then you were the Marshall short track champion in '66 also, but just to name a couple of those.
The national short track championship was, of course, at Marshall in '66. That was, I think, probably the first quarter mile national championship, because there was drivers from all over the United States came to that race. And I never will forget, we were standing on the hill there watching the cars warm up, and Bobby Ward was standing on the hill.
Yeah.
And he asked the fellow there, and I was standing fairly close to him. He said, "Who's the guy to beat here?" And the guy pointed out to the orange '96 car. He said, "Well, that guy wins about every race. He about laps everybody in the feature." Bobby Ward said, "Well, I've never been lapped in a feature." Well, Bobby Ward got lapped that night. The only one he didn't lap was Johnny Suggs, and Johnny Suggs was from Arkansas also, and he ran second, and he was just about to get lapped. So, but it was a fantastic racetrack for him, and everything just fell into place in those 2 years. You know, it's just almost like a fairy tale. You know, can't believe it.
Yeah. Justin and I have been familiar with that. We've been talking with track champions this year. And like you say, luck, as much as you want to say about it, just has to play a large part of it.
You
but
bet.
No cut tires, no accidents.
No blowout, no motor problems. I mean,
how many times can you do that in a racing career? Not many.
If you talk to many racers, they'll tell you, I would have won this many features had this not happened. For 2 years there, 2.5 years, it just didn't happen.
Right.
Everything went right.
Long string. Somebody maybe up there was watching out.
Had to be, yeah.
With the loss of Ken Taylor in '77, the brothers were sort of in need of a driver. And for a short time, man, they landed one of the household names of sprint car racing nowadays. And he would also go on to dominate the World of Outlaws. Tell us who that was and a little bit about how that arrangement.
Well, we put a car together in 76, winter of 76. We ran 77 and 78. And Steve Kinzer, we had several drivers in the car. We knew we had a good car, we knew we had good motors, and we just weren't satisfied with what was happening. Tiger Bob drove the car for a couple of weeks. Yeah. He knew us well, and he said, I'll sub, but he said, I'm not your driver. Uh-huh. So we were looking, and we were sitting at the shop one night, and I called Steve on the phone, and I got hold of Bob Kinzer, and Bob thought I was calling to hire him, and he said, I'm already tied up with the sponsor he had. And I said, well, I'm really calling for Randy or Steve. Well, Randy wasn't there, so we got Steve on the phone.
Luck again.
And, yeah, unbelievable. So anyway, Steve was probably 19, I'm guessing 20. And anyway, I talked to him a little bit, told him what kind of car we had, what we wanted to do. We wanted to run the Western World Championship in Arizona, Knoxville, go to Florida, and that's what he wanted to do. And the Kinzers were all racers. So anyway, he decided that he would do that. And I told this story at the banquet. He said, now how do I get there? And I said, well, just get on I-70. And there was a pause, and he said, now where's I-70? And I said, well, that's that dual lane that runs through Indiana and Missouri.
In Illinois, yeah.
I looked over at my partner there that helped us with the car, Archie, and I said, Archie, this guy doesn't know where I-70 is. Anyway, we thought, boy, we've hired a real dunce here. You know, and that is the gospel truth. I mean, but anyway, it worked out great. And we were kind of a guinea pig for Carl Kinzer. Carl kind of ended up stealing from us. But great combination. I mean, Carl and Steve were just almost unbeatable, kind of like Donnie Schatz and Ricky Warner helps him. So.
Quite a catch for a while.
Oh boy, we took him to Florida. Of course, nobody knew who he was. You know, they didn't know who he was when he ran his first Knoxville Nationals with us. Nobody knew who he was. He put the car up on the fence, you know, with the right rear, and that old wooden fence there was jagged. And Earl Wagner come over and told him after the race. He said, "Son," he said, "that you can't do that with that fence. It'll suck you right into it." And Steve said to him, "Well, sir," he said, "that was the fastest way around the racetrack." And Earl just shook his head and walked off. I'll never forget that.
Earl Wagner.
Earl Wagner. Yeah, he was one of the pit guys at that time. He retired.
A who's who of time would fill the seat of the McCown brothers sprinter. Such drivers, just again to name a few.
Yeah.
Jay Lyle, Jim Jenkins, Jimmy Sills, who still is out there hanging it out.
I know it.
Tom Corbin and Randy Combs. Did you guys, among that group, excluding, let's say, Ken Taylor and Kinzer, have a favorite driver that drove for you during that time?
Well, of course, Steve and Taylor were really, you know, just part of almost our heritage. You would say that might not be the right word, but Jimmy Sills was just a prince of a guy. You know, he was a very nice guy and a great race car driver.
Yeah.
He won a lot of races for us. Randy Combs won a lot of races. Jenkins. You just keep naming these guys, and everyone we put in the car, I think there was 12 drivers. And I think 6 of them won over 35 features for us. Wow. And, you know, that's kind of how you get to the plateau. Kevin Whitworth ran our car, or we we were kind of partnered with his car. He raced really good for quite a while. He had a really bad wreck at Missouri State Fairgrounds, and kind of messed his career up. He did. I don't think his eyesight was as good as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was a horrifying wreck he was in.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, he won a lot of races. And,
Yeah.
you know, we just were fortunate with drivers. You know, and the pit crew guys that volunteered. I mean, the list. It'd be as long as this table.
Right.
Of the guys that volunteered their time to help us, and
Yeah.
all race teams are like that. The good ones, they have people donate their time, and you know, those guys are so valuable to racing.
Absolutely.
You know, and they never get
Yeah.
the credit,
Uh-huh.
but a lot of it wouldn't happen without them.
Yeah. Time in the shop and in the pits
Oh,
is just immeasurable, and
Yes.
people never get to see or know those people,
Exactly.
but it
Exactly.
makes
right.
a winner on the track.
Yep. And I all through the years, I always tried to make sure that those guys knew that I appreciated them, because you know, they weren't getting anything out of it, but other than the love of racing,
Uh-huh.
you know, and wanted to see their car do well. I mean, that's about the only credit they got.
Yeah, well, and some of that too is associated with the town or whatever that you live in.
Yes,
That race car represents them in that town.
that's right.
Kind of like the
Exactly.
Chiefs and the Royals.
There you go. You betcha.
Okay. Merlin and yourself continue the giving spirit of the McCown family that Chick and Brother Wally started with such organizations as the Dialysis Clinic and the honor flights, among other things. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Larry? That has to be a very rewarding work.
Yes. The dialysis clinic, my brother was on dialysis for several years. He was just about ready to get a transplant, had a massive heart attack and died in his driveway. But they were so good to him. I mean, I would take him, and his daughter would pick him up a lot of times, and vice versa when he first got on dialysis. And it got where he could drive himself and do his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to do something for them, so we had a race at LA Speedway and did pretty well. I think we donated around $3,000 to the dialysis clinic. Then we started having a golf tournament. We had it for, gosh, I guess another 9 years, and total of over $100,000 probably to
Wow.
the dialysis clinic. And while we were doing that, we had money that we had donated to the honor flight through the golf tournaments. Then the race we had in June of last year, we donated money again, and which ended up good, $1,050 to them, and then that was through the 50-50,
Uh-huh.
and then we matched it, so
Yeah.
$2,100 for the dialysis
Yeah.
clinic.
For those that don't know, what is the honor flight?
Well, it's your veterans, and they fly them to Washington, D.C., and it's a wonderful package. If anyone gets a chance to go, they need to go. My granddaughter went up there last year. The group that she sings with from Olathe went up there because our family went up, and we had a little vacation, but they sang in front of 3 or 4 of the honor flight
Yeah.
groups that were up there.
Mhm.
And if you get a chance to go. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
amazing.
Justin, you got that, and I have a closing
Sure.
piece.
Larry, who's had the biggest impact on your life, in or outside of racing?
Oh, I think probably my brother. He was, he always had me under his wing, you know, all through the years. We were very close.
What would you like to be known, or do you think your family would like to be known or remembered for?
Oh, I think all the friendships that we've had through the years with fans, other racers, pit crew guys. I think we just want to be part of the racing community, and I think that's what we needed to be remembered for. Our whole family has been involved in racing since the 50s, and I still help. I still sponsor cars, and I don't know how many cars I've painted through the years and never charged anybody. But it's just, I think the racing community and families and people that you meet racing, it's worth millions of dollars. I wouldn't take anything for them.
Yeah.
If you could relive one moment in your life, be it to enjoy it over again or do it differently, what one moment would that be?
Oh boy. I don't know. There's been so many great things that have happened to us racing. Gosh, we've raced a lot of times years ago when we probably should have been paying bills at the house. We'd go racing.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess maybe racing-wise, I guess I wish we would have been better off financially, that we could have kept Steve. We just didn't have the bucks to keep him.
Yeah.
And we could tell how good he was going to be when we first saw him run. I mean, he was kind of like Taylor. He was kind of in a class all his own, in a lot of ways. Taylor was a very smart guy. He was kind of ahead of his time when we built the car, because he was in on everything. And there's a couple of things that he did to the race car that it was probably 10 or 15 years in sprint car racing before they got to that.
Everybody else.
And, but yeah, I would say that, I wish we could have kept Steve, and we've remained good friends all these years and are still good friends. He came down last year for the Missouri State Fair. It rained it out. He was going to be our grand marshal and sign autographs and stuff. And he said, I don't want anything. I'm going to come down and help you. And I said, Steve, you can't come down here. He said, no, trust me. He said, I want to come down and help you.
Yeah.
So, and he knows Randy real well too, Randy Combs. So.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
One more. Larry, from your father Chick and his love of racing and a giving heart, plus the foundation works of your brother Wally, the workmanship of Merlin, and the promotional and work ethic that the family has had and has stood out as an example of the best that racing has to offer. Again, congratulations on being inducted into the Carb Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Our whole family does. We're going to pass the plaque around to the families, and all of them can have it for a certain length of time, however they want it. And they were all very proud to be there, and as we all were. Even Steve Kendra gave me a call and said, hey, congratulations.
How nice.
I'd like to have had him there, but
Yeah.
I already took him down there to today where one rain out. I didn't want to do it again.
Man, that would have been the highlight of the Carb banquet.
Well, I think if I would have got to him sooner, he had some stuff going on, I think he might have came.
Yeah.
But it was nice to hear from him. And
Daniel Sosky was at the banquet last year.
yes, he was.
Yeah.
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 We'll get old Steve down there.
Yeah.
He'll come down sometime.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.